So my phone broke a few days ago on Wednesday, meant it had been Saturday. And to be honest, well, obviously I can't say that I'm completely happy with that. Overall, I think it has been a fairly good thing, because the new phone that I got, which is an 8 compared to the last one, which was a 6, was only £110. And from the looks of it, not only am I going to get significantly more charge from it, hopefully it'll be faster, but again, just generally better than the last one. Compared to the last one, which only had 16GB in it, I was very lucky if I had even 500 megabytes of extra space on it, and that was with 0 videos on my phone, very limited pictures, very limited apps. Whether it's this one with 64GB, I currently have just over 51GB of free space, and that's with all of my usual stuff downloaded. So while I don't want to be necessarily wasteful in terms of videos I want to take, they can be as long as I want compared to other ones where I was really working under a time constraint, and hopefully they'll be easy to upload. Same with photos, apps, anything I could want to download really. I have, not technically but practically for myself, basically unlimited storage space now, because again, I'm hoping to still use it fairly conservatively. Other than that, despite my phone being broke and not having any phone at all for the entirety of Thursday, Friday and quite a bit of today, I've actually been doing relatively well, just in terms of my general mood. The past few days have been quite good. In terms of today, I read, I believe, about 200 pages off the history of South Africa. Also went for a walk, this being my second walk. As I says, I got the new phone for only £110, it's a pink one as well, which is good. And I just spent a little bit of time kind of setting that up, setting Discord back up, looking for any messages that I hadn't seen. I'd got Discord on my Xbox just yesterday, but still I was wanting to check for everything properly. So again, overall quite good, especially given the fact that I was obviously just paid on Friday, so I'm not losing money directly, but rather it just came off the income of that. So I'm still well over, what, £150 up? Yeah, £150, £200 up, a good bit up anyway, compared to what I was when it broke, even though I've got the new one. Other than that, I say I'm hoping to entitle this not only the vlog for today, but the future going forward. I've been thinking of that, not just in terms of my phone breaking, but just generally I think about it a lot, or all the time. For my Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays, so the days I have off are the days where I have half of the day off, most of the day off, I'm hoping to start to do a lot more walking again, because there'll be significantly less rain and the temperature will be fairly fine. Just now leaving spring going into summer, and obviously it'll be extremely light. I believe it's just past 10 now, and well, it's not exactly bright out. It's definitely more than bright enough just to walk in, so it's still quite pleasant. So there's no reason that I couldn't, compared to a few months ago, just be out every single day that I can. And that also means that instead of reading books, I'll be listening a lot more. And while I still do have the pretension of kind of enjoying reading the books, buying them, owning an actual physical copy, the simple truth is that I get through a lot more reading if I'm actually listening. And in terms of my comprehension of the text, it's about the same. I think there are some senses in which it's less, and there are some in which it's more. it really just depends on what I'm doing. But generally when I'm walking, especially in a place like this, or even through a street, wherever it might be, I can enjoy myself, I can appreciate the scenery, I can kind of look about, think a little bit. But 90% of my mind is still focused on the book, so I've still, regardless of everything that's going on out behind me, even if it's not extremely busy, but obviously busier than this, I'm still taking in just about everything that I would if I was reading the book. Also the nice kind of steady, consistent flow of the narrative helps me kind of stay in it compared to actively reading. And again, as much as you can kind of cruise through audiobooks, and that being a kind of criticism of it, often when I'm actually reading, even if I'm actively reading, I can find myself cruising through as much as 10 pages or even more. And I mean, I'm actively reading it, but I'm taking none of it in, I'm comprehending none of it, because 90% of my focus is my mind thinking about something else, which could be completely unrelated. So in terms of that, at least for myself, I don't really think there's any takeaway or any distance between listening to it or reading a book in terms of distraction or comprehension. Again, I still do like to read books. I like to, if nothing else, simply own them, simply have them there for, again, mostly really pretentious and shallow reasons, so I should be listening to more stuff. Not only would I enjoy it more, I'd get out more, I'd get to see more, I'd probably be in a much better mood. Again, especially being out in the sun, hopefully not too hot, but being out in relatively good weather. It's just all in good. I'd be in a better mood and I'd get through more. And of course, in terms of listening to books, or at least the kind of books that I listen to, kind of text to speak, PDF files put in an app, it would also be significantly cheaper than simply buying and owning the books. So in every respect, while is a bit of a buzzkill to not physically own them, actually just listening to them will be better. Other than that, I don't really know what to talk about. But again, although the only problem still would be actually uploading time, but in terms of storage, honestly, I think this video could literally go on for hours and hours and hours, and I'd be fine. 3 hours, 4 hours, who knows? Especially as it got darker. But yeah, that's just about it. I'm hoping to listen to a lot more compared to reading stuff. And when it does come to actually reading books, I've still got a few to get through. I've got some that kind of been on the shelf for a while that I get through. And I've got through most of the new ones I got just a few weeks ago. Again, to a certain extent, I've still got this sense of the slowness of time. Things from just last week or 2 weeks ago seeming like months ago. It really does seem like a while since I got them, but yeah, I'm through most of them. But after that, in terms of even my reading in the house, I'm hoping to do all of that on my phone, because like with the audiobooks, I simply find that I get through more of them when I'm on my phone. It's a lot easier when you have something that's kind of very small, very narrow, very easy to fit in your hand. You can just put it in your pocket. It's a lot more convenient, and of course you can change the text to however you want, compared to a book, especially bigger books, hardback books, which I generally tend to go for, where the text can be very small and the pages can be very wide, as opposed to like a narrow phone with big text. Not necessarily that I have any problem seeing it, it's just that it's a lot easier. If nothing else, you have to turn your head, you can just look at the text in a kind of single file and go right down it, and then continue on. But yeah, other than the book in South Africa, and I was fairly dissatisfied with how far I got through it. I've also been listening to rather, not quite an equal amount, but a decent chunk of a new book on Roman Britain. And the problem that I have on the South Africa book is very similar to this, which is I've really felt out with kind of wider histories, especially something again as wide as the South Africa book, just the history of South Africa. I find that I don't really get much from the generalisations, whether you can cover, say, a war or an event or a happening or a specific time period, and in that book it'll be only 50 pages long, but you know that there'll be countless books out there that are 500, 600, 700 or possibly even more pages long. So rather than getting the full picture, you're getting a very condensed view. You're going over literally years, if not decades, and a few dozen pages, and it really just feels like a lot's been skipped. Of course, in terms of just time, it's a lot more efficient. You get through a lot more, but it doesn't really seem as meaningful as reading something on a specific person or a specific topic, where you could be dealing with a similar sized book, even a longer book compared to the one I was just talking about, and rather than going over literally several centuries, it could be within 20 years, even 10 years, just a few decades or a few years, but nonetheless you get a lot more from it. So I'm hoping to focus more on, again, this week's be especially good when I can just move on to listening to books and reading books on my phone. I'll have more area to choose. But books that are on kind of more specific subjects where I could read, rather than say one book on South Africa, I could read 4 books on specific subjects in the history of South Africa that I would get more from. Although that isn't really the specific subject I'm interested in now. As I've been talking about with the books on Roman Britain in the last few vlogs that I've done, I'm wanting to kind of cover all of British history from beginning to start. I've decided that I'm going to get through the book that I'm currently on, and another book that this is the thing with my phone breaking, I actually forgot what book I was on. I forgot that the book that I was on before that was actually from Gutenberg. So I've got to get through that older one, which I've got about halfway through, and the current one that I just started today. And then I want to move on to Anglo-Saxon Britain. The problem with this time period being that because there are so few records, and it's a relatively obscure period compared to the following centuries after it, you do kind of have to focus on the wider issue. There aren't too many Pacifics, or at least there aren't too many good comprehensive books on Pacific themes that stay in it, they kind of stay on track. But hopefully as I get out of that and I get into kind of more of the Middle Ages and certainly the centuries after that, I can focus on things like books on Pacific wars rather than books on half a millennia, books on several centuries. Like a book on the Anglo-Saxons just in general, or on Roman Britain. I could look at a war that's more condensed to a book that's more condensed to a few decades. So as slow as the going seems to be now in terms of this, I wasn't expecting it to be extremely interesting, but I have been finding this rather boring, just with the Roman Britain stuff, because again, I just feel like there's so much that isn't there, there's so much that's left out, because it is so broad, because it is so obscure. Will I be going slower in future? hopefully I'll get more out of it. But again, with that, I really just do think I should close off, because it's gotten a decent bit darker as well compared to when I started the video 15 minutes ago. Because again, well, I could do this for probably 4 hours, honestly. It would take me about 40 hours to upload the thing. So we'll just need to see how that goes, but overall, yeah, good. I've been in a good mood for the past few days where I've not been vlogging. I got a new phone that's significantly better than my old phone. And I've got steady reading goals in future, as well as my French, which, again, the problem is that, just to be honest, while I'm in work, I'm enjoying myself too much. I'm kind of too distracted to focus on it. But nonetheless, I re-downloaded Anki, and again, and I know I've been saying this a few times, but I should really start taking notes and kind of focusing on them. Even just getting 10-20 words a day would be everything in the long run in a few months. But yeah, I should just close off there.